Hello chums, and welcome to Tuning for Beginners, the series where I'll be covering every aspect of tuning and tweaking in Gran Turismo 7 to help those who are struggling. This series is aimed at road cars, since they are affected much more than race cars by changes to tuning. It's worth mentioning that my advice here will hopefully help you with consistency, but not necessarily with speed, so if you're chasing the last few tenths of a second at Sardinia to make grinding more efficient, I'm afraid this series probably won't help you. Now let's begin. Today's topic is the Widebody. This may be self-explanatory to most, however this series is called Tuning for Beginners for a reason. The Widebody modification is an option found in GT Auto and is available for the majority of the game's road cars, and could be seen as a kind of spiritual successor to the racing modification from Gran Turismo 1 and 2. The visual effects can vary, ranging from the subtle bodywork flares seen on the majority of the cars in the game, to the bolt-on flares seen on the Volvo 240, all the way to the fully bespoke widebody kit seen on the De Tomaso Pantera or the Toyota AE86. While their form varies, their function remains the same, to allow the fitment of wider tyres, though those tyres don't come with the widebody. See, if you still have the stock wheels fitted to your car, a widebody will do nothing. If anything, you'll notice that the performance point rating will actually drop. The most likely reason for this is the extra aerodynamic drag, meaning the car's top speed will drop by 1 or 2 miles per hour. So, to get the full benefit of the wide body, you need to have aftermarket wheels fitted. It doesn't matter which you choose or what options you go for, the tyre width will remain the same. Increasing the size of the wheels will run a lower profile tyre with the same overall width and diameter, so in theory there's no performance gain or loss. Ticking the wide rim option will do just that. It will fit a wide rim with a stretched tyre for mad stance, bro. But the width of the tyre will remain the same, so there's no performance benefit to doing this. The last option is offset, which effectively just pushes the wheels further outwards to widen the track, but the tyre size will remain the same. In the real world, the benefit of a wider offset would be lowering the centre of gravity and in theory improving stability. In Gran Turismo, the benefit of a wide offset is almost impossible to tell. Once you've fitted your aftermarket wheels with the wide body, the performance point rating will increase. It's also worth mentioning that if you already have aftermarket wheels fitted when you fit the wide body, they'll automatically be widened to fit the wider tyres. The wide body will also remove any aerodynamic or styling parts that were previously fitted, so you'll have to go back and refit them. To give a visual representation of the benefits of fitting the wide body modification, I ran some tests with a couple of different cars. The first was a Nissan Fairlady Z33, or 350Z, on sports medium tyres. It's been mildly tuned to be stable, predictable, and an all-round pleasure to drive, though it can still kick the tail out in more extreme cases. I'm using this car because it's consistent. I've set up a custom race with 10 laps around a track on equal conditions mode so that wind speed or temperature won't affect the lap times. Of those 10 laps, I will then take the top 5 to give me an average that isn't affected by the standing start or any mistake I may have made on the less than ideal laps. The result is an average of 1 minute, 1 second, .113. Next, I've fitted the wide body and some shiny new wheels to get the wider tyres. I leave them in the standard size with no wide rim or offset and try the same race again to get more lap times to compare to. No other changes have been made to the Nissan setup, so this is as much of a like-for-like comparison as I can get, with the only variable being the wider tyres and my driving. On track, the subjective difference can be hard to tell, but the car does have more grip. Braking distances are slightly reduced, and cornering speeds are slightly increased. The times fall as well, with the average being a time of 1 minute, 0 seconds, .329, 0.8 seconds per lap faster on average. Out of curiosity, I also ran the same test with the wide offset option ticked to see if it realistically made any changes. Subjectively, there was almost no difference at all. While it's more than likely placebo, the car maybe had more of a tendency towards understeer, which would translate to increased stability on a faster car. However, the average lap time was eerily similar at 1 minute 0 seconds .319, a difference too small to attribute to the offset. I also tried ticking the wide rim option and had the same result. So, in this case, offset and rim width made no discernible difference to the car's performance. There may be extreme cases where this may change though, as some cars will see a bigger visual difference when ticking the wide offset option, but in general, you shouldn't see any difference to your performance. If you're wondering why I haven't tested the wheel size, that will be getting its own video. While a consistent car proved to be faster, I decided to try a car that was deliberately tweaked to be more unstable and inconsistent to give a better idea of the subjective handling changes. The Chevrolet Corvette C8 is a car I've always found to be quite twitchy and in some cases difficult to drive. I've lightly upgraded it once again, but I've also tweaked things such as the LSD to encourage some oversteer to see if the widebody has much of an effect. Once again, I completed a 10-lap race in the same conditions before adding the widebody. The top 5 lap times gave me an average of 55.155 seconds. I then added the widebody without any offset or wide rim options and repeated the test. There was a noticeable improvement to the car's traction and stability, and the car felt generally better in every way, though it's still quite subtle. The new average was 54.614, almost exactly half a second faster per lap. I then also tried the wide offset option with this car, to see if the apparent stability of a wider track would make any difference at a higher performance point. This time, I did see a slight improvement to overall consistency, and as a result, the average time dropped by just over 1/10 of a second. So if you have a car that's typically more of a challenge to drive, you may find that the wide offset option will help with making the car more predictable. As you can see though, this improvement will be minute at best. I did try the wide rim option once again, and it made no difference. So, it's probably easy to draw the conclusion that the widebody is best, but what if you're tuning your car to a specific performance point requirement? We already know that the widebody increases your car's PP rating while slightly reducing top speed, so would that hurt it? To test it, I got back into the Nissan from earlier, added a turbo and some other bits to increase the rating, and then adjusted the downforce power and weight until both the widebody and stock body versions of the car were at 600 performance points. I chose 600 since the miserable Tokyo race is very popular and much harder to tune for than the 700 point race at Le Mans. Other than that, all the suspension and LSD settings and gearbox settings are identical. Without the widebody, the Fair Lady has 510 horsepower at 600 performance points, which is about average. With the widebody, the Fair Lady has 482, an almost 30 horsepower deficit, which should make a big difference on a top speed heavy track like Tokyo. So, will the handling make up for it? To find out, I ran 2 more races at 5 laps each, counting the top 4 and ignoring the first lap. Without the widebody, my Fair Lady achieved an average time of 2 minutes 10 seconds .096, and it hit roughly 194 miles per hour at the end of the main straight. Interestingly, the widebody car was only 4 miles per hour behind at the end of the main straight. But the straight line disadvantage was still enough, with the average time being a 2 minutes 10 seconds .621, half a second per lap down. While that would only equate to 6 seconds over the course of the 12-lap Tokyo race, it shows there is sometimes an advantage to keeping the body standard, though it's not much. So, that was my quick guide to the widebody modification as well as wheel offset. Hopefully my advice in this video has helped. That was episode 4 of Tuning for Beginners. Thank you very much for watching, and if this helps you, I'd be very grateful for your subscription. Take care and ta-ra!